name is Luna, and you're listening to Infinite Souls, a podcast for that real talk about consciousness, spirituality, and realizing our infinite potential. Mucho, mucho love and light. Hello, Infinite Souls. Welcome to another episode. I have a lovely guest on today. Her name is Shaina Marie. Hi, Shaina.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for asking. Happy Tuesday. Tuesday. Tuesdays are Thankful Tuesdays. So my icebreaker question for you is, what are you thankful for?
What am I thankful for? I guess it can kind of cliche because I'm doing all this spiritual stuff, but I'm very thankful for this spiritual awakening that I'm having. Mainly because um I have found, so I'm like the first one in my family going through this whole spiritual journey. And along with that, my sisters are doing their own spiritual journeys, but we're kind of like first generation. And I have found myself with so many questions. Like I've been asking my mom about our ancestors and my grandparents, great grandparents, great grandparents. Like I want to know like the history behind it, and nobody knows.
Yeah.
And so I find myself tapping into my ancestors on my own a lot. And now I can see like my kids, my nieces, like other family members asking me. And so I'm thankful that like it's like the start of, generations to come, right? Because it's like, it's so hard for me, but I want to make it easy for the next generation and the next generation.
Mhm.
So
Yes, you're healing all of your ancestors. You're breaking generational
trauma.
trauma, curses, timelines, chains, whatever you choose to call them. You're breaking all this generational programming, like that is passed down. Like they're like karmic cycles.
Yep,
It
so true.
Oh my God, it's so amazing. Wow, beautiful. Thank you. I'm grateful for your awakening too. It's so beautiful. I'm grateful for whoever who's had awakenings. I'm grateful for your awakening.
So true. Like there's just there's so much going on right now. And even if I'm not able to find a lot of information about my own, ancestry and all that, who says I can't create something new to pass down,
Mhm.
right? And I think that's what's so amazing. You have so many people going through like their own spiritual awakenings, and it's making us all become more compassionate people. So
Yes, 100%. You are your ancestors.
exactly, so
You
true.
are your ancestors. It starts with you. Like that's you right there. You don't, you know, you can do the research and stuff, and it's good to know and to get in touch with that stuff because it'll open different things for you, like maybe gifts that you didn't know were there. But you can break all that right now, like instantly. Like you just time is all
Yeah,
it's not linear, like it's all happening at once.
right. Like it's such a part of you. Like, and that's one of the main reasons why I really was like trying to dig into my ancestry, is because I had seen a meme one time that said like, um, imagine how many love stories there were, how many arguments, how many like traumas, how like what had to happen in order for you to be here and for you to go through what you're going through today, right? And so I thought that was like that hit my soul, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Like you're not the only one, and yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I love that. Thank you. Thank you. That's a little reminder for me to get um to say what's up to my ancestors. You know, like I lit some candles the other day because it's been a while since I have, and I used to connect with them a lot, and and so they probably miss me, and so now I'm over here. So thank you. So we met on for everybody who's listening, me and Shaina, we met on this app called Ibble. It's a new app, just so you know. So we met online, but we met because I saw her tarot event that she was having. I was like, oh, I want a tarot reading. Oh, hell yeah. Okay. So let me go ask a question. So I think it was like a love question I asked or something. My fucking Scorpio ass always wanting love.
I'm a Scorpio too. I know what you mean. You always want an answer.
Yes, always want to know because you always know. You're used to knowing.
Yeah. So and it's one of those things where it's like, even though you know the answer in the back of your head, you still have to ask someone else. And it's like you want them to give you another answer, but you know the answer they're gonna give you.
Yeah, just to be sure. Just to be sure though, man. And then when you have the cards and you shuffle them, you're like, no, that can't be it. And then the same cards come out. That's freaking hilarious. But anyway, so I asked her for a reading, and so we became friends. And so I'm so super happy to have her on. But I do want you to introduce yourself to the people. Just tell us about yourself, like a little, like who you are, what you do.
So, okay, my name is Shaina Marie. But you can just call me Shaina. So my spiritual awakening happened in 2016. I was only 25 at the time, and my dad had just he passed away in 2016. And at the time, I had gotten I was very religious. I grew up in a very, very religious family. We were Catholic growing up, and then kind of crossed over to Christian. And my dad had always growing up talked to me about God, Jesus, right? So I wasn't very spiritual. I was kind of very to the Bible, I believed in Jesus, and whatever my dad told me about the Bible was right? And I mean, my name, Shaina Marie, literally means beautiful Mary. That's how religious my family was, right?
Wow.
And so my dad, I had gotten a dream one night that my dad passed away. And I woke up the next morning to text messages saying that my dad had gone to the hospital. Now my dad, he was given like 9 months to live, like 14 years before. So he was sick all this time, but he was making it. He was, he was good. So I obviously didn't think that this was it, that the dream was going to come true. Sure enough, 2.5 weeks later, he didn't make it out of the hospital. He did end up passing. And so that literally was like the start of my spiritual journey. Like I did not immediately start like becoming spiritual though, like it was just kind of like the start to my questioning, like questioning everything. Why did I get this dream? Then I started to think, did I cause his death? Right? Did I do this? And then like as we kind of went forward with like, the funeral arrangements and stuff like that, I found myself, it was the weirdest feeling because like I found myself like just comforted by not happy that he was gone, but like I was okay that he wasn't here. Like I knew that he was okay, and I felt like I should have cried more, and it was the weirdest feeling for me because like I said, it caused me to just question and question and question, right? And so I kind of went just with that feeling. I didn't like look into any spirituality. Nothing changed for probably 2 years. And then in 2018, I finally, what was it? Mediumship fell in my lap. Okay, so my husband and I, we just like to just go on Facebook. We search Facebook events, and he had found a mediumship event, and he was like, this will be cool, right? And so it's like, all right, let's go. I was 100% a skeptic at the time. I was like, she's probably got a little mic in her ear, or like the people that she's calling on are in on it, right? And I like went in there with the thought that if they don't call on me, then this is fake, right? So they definitely did not call on me. But they called on a little girl, and she had to be like 6 years old or something like that. And I left thinking, she was crying. Her dad had come through, and I was like, you can't make a 6-year-old. I had kids. I'm like, you can't make a 6-year-old cry like that on demand, and act. And so from there, I was like, okay, I was still kind of skeptic, but I was like, I gotta go and see other mediums, and I gotta like see what they say, right? So meanwhile, all that year, 2018, right? I'm like booking events to these live medium shows. And I think it got so much to the point that my husband was like, okay, I think you need to relax. I think you need to like, you don't even know if this is real. And I feel like it was like out of love, he was like, I don't even, you don't know if this is real, and I'm afraid that you're kind of getting sucked into it, and I don't want you to get sucked into it. So I was like, okay, he wouldn't tell me this.
Was he scared or?
No, he wasn't scared. He actually was down, but I could see it coming from like love, like he just like didn't want me to like get disappointed, or like we didn't know if it was real, right? So he didn't want me to like end up later down the line, I'm so excited about it, and then find out that this is all a show, right? So he was like, okay, can you just stop? Like, let's not do any more medium shows. Let's do something else. Let's go to a concert, basketball game, right? So I was like, all right, I'm gonna stop. My bad. So I stopped, and then I don't know, maybe 3 months later, I'm at work. I'm working a 9 to 5 at this time, and my coworker comes in, and she's like, "You guys, I just saw this medium. I had a private meeting with this medium." And then I'm like, "Hold up, you can have private meetings with mediums, right?" I thought they were just like shows all this time.
Yeah, give me the number.
Yeah. So then I'm like, okay, if she gave me the number, and I was able to book a reading with this person. And I ended up having a private reading with her, and my mind was just like blown. Like, she told me like, like, yeah, you're supposed to be doing this work. Like, it keeps falling on your lap because you're not pushing it forward. Like, they're trying to tell you, you've got to do this, And I was like, dude, I don't even know where to start. Like, how do I I know I had that dream, but I didn't make myself have that dream. And then like I do like sometimes see things out the corner of my eye or hear things, but how do you control it, right? And then she showed me like there was like a number of people that teach. There's like literally a huge ass castle in the UK that you can go to for school. It's like Hogwarts.
Castle? Oh my God, I want to go.
I'm not even shitting you. Like, I want to go so bad, but they're closed right now because of COVID. But I'm like, that's like one. It's called the Arthur Findlay College. And if you ever look it up, it does look super creepy, but like, once you're like into this stuff, like it's not, you're like, you'd be down to go. And yeah, it's like literally like Hogwarts. So you would go over there and they'll teach you, you even sleep there and you take classes there. And yeah, so I found out, I started taking classes. And yeah, and that's kind of like what got the ball rolling, I feel like, in my whole spiritual journey. Like, it started with that dream in 2016. And then like, it wasn't until like really 2019 where I started taking classes.
And so, oh my God, yeah, I'm like, I have like a lot of questions, but
it's a lot.
But so you started taking mediumship classes, and are you still taking mediumship classes, or have you like already?
I still am, just because but I am working now. I do readings. I'm a forever student, so I don't ever feel like I'm ever like at the top of anything. There's always so much more to learn, and sometimes we also still can learn something from going back to the basics. you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so I do still take courses, maybe not as often as I was when I first started, but I do. I actually started though. So when I first spoke with that medium, um, it was still kind of like felt like woo woo stuff to me at the time. Like I was in it, I had like one foot in and one foot out.
Uh-huh.
So I actually started with tarot classes because I felt like it was people would think it was less crazy. You know,
Yeah.
I had like you know, I don't care anymore what people think, but you know, at the very start, I was very self-conscious about um what people would think about me stepping into like this, you know, spiritual world. It's almost like coming out of a closet, you know, like
Yeah.
you don't know and like you're so afraid. And I didn't even know why I would be so afraid because the people that I was worried about judging me were people like from high school that I hadn't seen for like 15 years, you know, or like, well, not that long, maybe like 10 years, you know, but like still. But yeah, it's just like you go crazy, right? Like, oh my God, what are people
Just
gonna think?
programming.
Exactly. It's like I had to rewire my brain. Like,
Yeah.
okay, no.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. And so so do you see dead people? For lack of a better
So
word.
it's so funny because
Apologies to my
now
children.
that now that it's okay, they probably think it's funny.
You guys. Yeah.
Now that I'm kind of like more into it, I am not I'm not afraid anymore. But in the very beginning, it was very scary because I was seeing fog in my house. I was seeing a figure like walk into my bedroom and like out into the wall, you know. So in the beginning, that can be scary.
Yeah.
Like a literal, like you're watching. I mean, it's not as scary as watching a movie, but almost same thing, right?
Yeah.
So like I've learned that you have to build boundaries because what it is you don't realize how much you're opening, right? And you have to build that boundary within yourself where it's like, you know, only like I only let in my home my dad and my husband's dad. Like, you know, those are the only two people that are allowed in my home. Outside, you know, I have to like really open up and a lot of people think, and I actually thought this before I, you know, learned how to expand my abilities. I thought that if I wanted to talk to my dad would be like right here, like I'd be able to like legit see him, right? And actually hear him. And it's not like that at all. The way that you get your messages is like images popping into your brain. Imagine like having a dream, right? Like so and then it's all about like interpretation. So it's not, you know, while yes, sometimes I'll hear a number or I'll hear a name, it's not like me and you talking, right? It's not like they're talking sentences at me and I know what exactly what they're saying. I really have to like tap into my feeling. How are they making me feel?
Mhm.
Who, you know, what image are they showing? And it's kind of like a puzzle and putting all the puzzle pieces together. So that's why, like, in order to give a reading, I really have to like center myself and really tap into the person because it's not like, you know, a lot of people think that you're just talking to them like you and I talk. You know,
Like on the
not
phone.
exactly like I could just phone up like, hey dad, what's
Hey,
up?
what's up?
Yeah.
No, like you're on the phone, right? Like no, and uh, you know, like so all these because it also requires practice, right? Because to be able to intuitively put all the pieces together and say like, I think this is what it is
Mhm.
that I'm trying to get, like translate it basically. Yeah, it takes practice too. So I mean, sheesh,
Yes.
but you've also may have done it in other lives, you know. So if you unlock like past lifetimes, your Akashic records, like
Yeah.
if you just like, yeah, oh my God, that's so crazy. So basically, all we have to do is surrender. Like now, do you see that dark fog and dark figures, or no?
I don't just because I've set up these boundaries. So I've learned that you know, especially because I grew up so religious, um before my dad passed away, he would always tell me, like, don't you ever talk to anything on the other side, because how do you not know that's the devil or something bad pretending to be me? Right. So I think when I first started this whole journey, that always stuck in the back of my head. Right. It was
Yeah.
always there, like, oh my God, what if this is not my dad? What if, like, I'm opening something else? And I really learned, it's really grown my faith, because I've learned that your faith plays a really big part. I do still believe that there, if there's a good side, there's still a bad side. But if your faith is so big, it's not gonna let that bad stuff in. So I do have faith that, whatever it is, whoever it is that I'm speaking with, it does belong. And I've never felt anything. I have to go off of my intuition. I've never felt anything horrible, anything scary, and it's always been loving. It's not like they're coming here telling me to tell their loved one, oh, you've got to do this. It's really like, all the messages are always, they're always, I just want to let you know I'm here. Don't feel guilty. So they're always very loving messages. So
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, that's sweet. I'm like, oh, like that's so nice to hear those messages. No, I I understand like I feel like there's a lot of for our psychic gifts to come through, there's a lot of things that each person is different, right? Things that you may have to work on in order to allow those things to come in.
yeah. Mhm.
Um like for me, for example, it would be religious trauma as well, because I grew up in a very Christian family.
Yeah.
And so I have a lot of uh fears around that stuff. And I used to watch a lot of horror. I used to love horror movies a lot, and I still kind of do, I guess. But
But you know what? I found that, like, after I've started this whole spiritual journey, like, it's hard for me to watch like horror, like when they have like demons and stuff in it, because I'm
yeah,
like, that's not like, like it's not
because
as,
it's not real. It's just like
yeah,
there's brainwashing people.
exactly.
You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and it's and through those images, they're also imprinting things, fears onto the people that are watching it. If you receive it, because you can also protect yourself. And I've been aware for a long time about like setting boundaries, like saying like if you're not of the light, or I own, you're not welcome if you're not of the light, only beings of love and light, or just things, whatever boundaries words
Yeah.
you choose.
Yeah.
But I would imagine somebody who doesn't know to do that, they would be more like open to receiving something like that. You know what I mean? And being afraid of it.
Yeah, you're right. And it's like I said, it's like I've had to learn how to really like rewire my brain, like there are these thoughts that you automatically think is wrong. I mean, like forget about the people that already think you're crazy, right? Like that's another in itself. But like there's a part of you, because you grew up a certain way, that is telling you that you're crazy and that you shouldn't be doing this, right? So it is hard. Like, I mean, thankfully a lot of people, it takes a lot longer time. I mean, I'm still not where I want to be, but I do see like such a huge difference from the start of me actually taking classes and learning this stuff to today. So
Yeah. Yeah. And everybody can tap into this, right? Like everybody has these abilities.
you know it'll vary. I found to who you talk to. I do believe that the way that I like to explain it is, everybody is, I do believe that everybody um, can learn it, right? I think of it as a skill, okay? Um, some people, okay, let's talk about basketball. Some people are just naturally good at basketball. They don't even need to practice, right? They can just pick up a ball and just dribble and make a shot, right? Someone is going to have to practice for years to get that good, right? Same thing. So there are people who are super, super sensitive, who experience all of this stuff since birth, right? Since they were little. And then there are some people like who need to practice and who need to, it's like exercising a muscle that you didn't know you had, right?
Mhm.
And so I think about it that way, and it's like, why not? Why not? And it's until you break that that part of you that thinks that you're lying or whatever. It's until you break that you can really grow and expand. And there's this thing that I can't remember if I read it or someone told me, but what's this quote? It says, we often think that we are humans having a spiritual experience, but we're really spirits having a human experience. And so when I heard that, I'm like, duh, like, we're already spirits. Why wouldn't we be able to do this? We already do it when we're on the other side, right? So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, we do, I believe also that we can do it in our dreams, you know, in our sleep, like connect
for
to the
sure.
other side. That
Mhm.
is the other side, you know, you going to sleep, you're playing on the other side in that dream,
Yeah,
you know.
all the time.
It's so insane. Oh my God. So I did write down something when you were talking about like about yourself, your story, about experiencing, if you want to talk about it or not, but experiencing death, you know, of like death of your father at a young age. Like how did that impact your journey, you know, because I just experienced, my grandma just passed away last week.
Oh,
So it's okay. Thank you so much. So she transitioned. I like to say transition. That's the word, you know, that it
yeah,
describes.
it is.
So I would like to know like your thoughts and opinions about it, because that's a topic that Scorpios love.
You know what? It's so true. And I, it was so meant to be like that. I like spiraled into this from my dad's death. And it's because he's the first person that I lost that was close to me, that was like in my circle. And I've lost uncles before, aunts before, even grandparents, but I didn't ever have a very close relationship with my own grandparents. I was always like, very close, like we're tight knit with my parents, and I'm one of six kids, right? And then like with all of my nieces and nephews, so that is like my tight circle. And he was like the first person to go within that circle, and it hit us hard. Like, I still have brothers that are um still going through their grief. And for me, and that's why I really questioned it in the beginning, is because, like I mentioned earlier, I was questioning, like, why am I not as sad as they are? I should be crying more, like, I knew this, and I knew that I was still sad, don't get me wrong, like I cried, and it just, it really questioned it. And I feel like this was just, I was given that dream for a reason, like spirit on the other side, God, like they all know what they're doing on the other side. They wouldn't have given it to someone that couldn't handle it, right? And so going through that, I have learned now, looking back, obviously at the time I didn't know, but now looking back, it's just all part of my story. It's all part of the plan. It's how I affect. I mean, like I mentioned, my two sisters are going through their own spiritual journeys as well, right? So I feel like mine is more open, and it kind of encourages everybody to be more open to that. Like even my mom is, I mean, my mom is still very like Christian and stuff too, but she's very open to the things that I'm doing and the things that I'm introducing to our family. And so I feel like, like, yes, it is, it's always very sad to lose someone. But once you can open yourself up to know that they're not gone, I mean, you just can't see them with your own physical eyes, right? But they're still there. And if you can, you can feel that too. So yeah, I do feel like, I mean, it's, it's almost like a silver lining, like it's very sad and you want them here, but it opens up, new doors to everybody too. So and it won't be the last time I see him. So
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Definitely. Definitely. That's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for that. Oh my gosh. So, uh, I do want to ask you a little bit about tarot, and we can get into all of that. But before we get into that, let's talk about how we met. So we can just tell everybody. You know, we kind of got like sidetracked.
No, sorry, I told you I talk too much and then I like go off.
Everything is divine. Everything is divine.
Yeah.
So let the people know, how did we meet? Where did we meet? On that app,
so
right?
On ibble. Yeah. So so you're right. So I was doing a tarot event and you had a last question. And so and then and then you started popping up on mine too, and then you were doing an event, and so I'm like, okay, I gotta get on here now and ask. It just must be the Scorpio thing, like you said, because it's like, and I kind of knew, and I figured you knew what kind of answer you were gonna get from me too. So like, me too. With my question, I think I asked you about my journey and that kind of thing, and like my spiritual journey, and I ask this question all the time to anybody that is hosting like a tarot event. But and I always get the same answer, and it might just be, a little bit more elaborate, but at the end of the day, like I get the same answer. So yeah, I think it's just like a Scorpio thing, which is probably why like we ended up just talking and stuff, because it's like we get it.
Yeah, vibing, gelling, Yeah, I've been meeting a lot of Scorpios lately, and I love it. I love Scorpios. I have a roommate Scorpio and a best friend Scorpio, so surrounded. Okay. I know, not cocky at all though. But so let's let them know what ibble is. Ibble is not a secret, okay? It's an app. It's an app.
You don't need like an invitation or anything. You can.
Oh no, it's totally free. Like it's totally free. You can go on the app store on any. Is it available on Android as well?
Right? I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Just search ibble, IBBLE, and I mean, it's a super cool app. I really enjoy it because it's like we're having conversations. It's totally different than anything that I've ever been on. Like it's not the same as Instagram or TikTok at all. It took me a while to kind of get used to it, to kind of understand it. But once I got into it and I started like answering questions and I started meeting people that I would have never met in my life before, and they had their own shows going on and they were answering my questions and we're like getting deep. I was like, oh, this is cool. This is fun, So I'm like, I gotta get people on here. Like,
yeah. And I feel like you're right. Like it's so different than like Instagram, Facebook. Like I feel like your questions on those platforms can kind of get drowned, like away and like get mixed with other people's questions. And on ibble, it's very personable, like you're talking to each other. And then at the same time, like it's kind of weird that it could be personable because it's not live. Like you can come back to it the next day and respond, but it's just the way that you communicate on there. It's just so much more personal.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's what I like too about the event. So it's like quote unquote like a live event, right? Technically I could record my video before and then post it if I wanted to, right? Mm-hmm. But technically like it's a live event where I'm gonna be there answering if you have a question, but or I'm asking you a question, you know what I mean? Or every event is different, but you can submit a video, you can submit text, you can submit voice, and you can submit it anytime. Like it's on your time. Yeah. It doesn't have to be on the day of the event. Like some people I send them like, hey, look, I'm having this event, like a free reading, everybody wants a free tarot reading. But they're like, I'm not available that day. And then I'm like, wait, but you can join anytime, And they don't see my message till like really late. And they're like, oh man, I missed it. Yeah. So yeah, that's really important to mention. I really, really want to get that message out to people.
Yeah, it's a great app. I'm glad that we found it, especially because that's how we found each other. Because like
Yeah.
I said too, like especially with it, I feel like being such a new app, um, there's like so much more opportunity to meet people, and like talk about things like this, versus like I said with Instagram, like it's just so like overwhelming. There's like so much stuff going on and thousands and millions of people on there that your voice is not exactly heard,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
Versus over on ibble, like because it is such a new app, like there's, we, I mean, like us, we heard each other, and like it's just so much, it's so much better.
Yeah, yeah. It's so like all these other apps are like oversaturated a lot, and then they have me shadow banned on TikTok. Let's not talk about it. But do you have any ibble events coming up soon?
Yes. So yeah, let's announce the one for next Wednesday. What is that? Is that the 16th?
Next Wednesday is the 16th.
16th. So Luna is gonna join me on an ibble event next Wednesday, 3 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. And I want to talk about how to embody your highest self. Because I feel like everybody talks about that, right? And we talk about, yes, I'm being my highest self, but what does that mean? Right. And then, like, what do people do? Like, people do different things to be their highest self. It's just like anything else. Like, what might work for you might be different for me. Right. So it's just like, I feel like it will help other people. Other people can give their ways of doing it. And then like maybe like one of their ideas will spark my interest. And then like something that we say will spark their interest. Right. So like I just feel like it's like such a great topic.
Yeah, that is a great topic. That is a great topic. I can't wait to get into it. And like practical things that you do, and that you are doing, so people can get, like you said, spark new ideas and learn from each other, and share with each other. Because, like, what was I don't know where I read this or where I heard this, but like it's a 3-step like rule.
Mhm.
Um, learn it, live it, share it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, that's a good model to live by. I freaking love that,
Learn it. I gotta write that down. Learn it.
Yeah. Learn it, live it, share it. So first you gotta learn it, then you gotta live it. That's the embodiment part, the live it. Because you can't just read the books, you gotta actually put it into
Do it. Yeah.
play, right? Embodiment, that's the embodiment part, living it. And then sharing it with others, and a lot of us, we get imposter syndrome when we're called to share with others, because we come from a place of like, oh, I want to teach this to somebody, but change the word teach to sharing, you know what I mean? That helps so much.
Oh, that's such a good idea because, like that's so true too. Because a lot of times when you say teach, like you also question yourself, like, well, am I good enough at this to teach it? Versus like
Mhm.
sharing it, it's like you're working on it together, you're embodying it together, and you're growing together, right? So,
Yeah,
that's
yeah, you're sharing what you've learned, your perspective, you're offering your perspective, like, and that helps people grow too, because a lot of people do resonate with the same type of work, and some people may have little differences here and there, but there are a lot of similarities that you can find.
yeah.
Everyone's a reflection.
Yeah, and that's so true. And sometimes people will take like what you've shared, right? That idea, and they'll put their own little spin on it, So it's like you guys are doing the same thing, but you're kind of not. And
Mhm.
it works. It works for both of you. And so that's what I want to do is like I just want to talk about like how to be your higher self because I feel like I see it a lot. I see it online, especially like with everybody having their own spiritual awakening, like I see it everywhere. Be your higher self, be your higher self. And it's like how? Right?
Yeah.
Like it's not just all good vibes and good feels. Like you really have to like work for it sometimes. And there's things that you have to apply to your everyday life, and it's not always the same for everybody. So
Yeah, definitely, 100%. I
yeah.
love it. I can't wait to do it. I'm super excited.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a lot of fun.
It is. It's a good one.
So you guys join us, okay? If you're available now, from now starting on, like whenever you're available, just DM me. Send
Yeah.
me a DM. Well, actually, I don't know when you're going to be listening to this show, but if your future self is listening to this,
And
I already told you.
yeah. You can also always go back, right? To the
Yeah, you can always go back and just watch it
yeah.
anytime. And you know, the thing is on ibble, like let's say somebody has an event, if they leave it open, you can keep posting onto that event, keep asking questions, keep adding your videos,
Yep.
depending on how the event is. But yeah, that's super cool. That's what I love about it. And join other threads on there anyway. But let's get into tarot, please. Can we talk about tarot?
So, okay, so like I said earlier, tarot, I love tarot now. But like it was because mediumship was always the first thing in spirituality that I was interested in, that I felt called to do. That, you know, I was told by other mediums that this is the line of work I'm supposed to be doing. But because I had not hard rewired my brain yet, right? I always felt like tarot was, you know, no offense to tarot, but like it was less crazy than mediumship was, because at the end of the day I felt like I could be like, blame it on the cards, not me. And so I started off with that, and I feel like it was a great stepping stone for anybody like watching this that is um wanting to open up spiritually and hasn't yet. I do believe that tarot was a great stepping stone for me, to build my confidence, to grow my intuition, just because, you know, like I said, like it's like it's a physical thing. It's something that you can see, something you can hold, right? Versus like the mediumship, you don't see it. You're basically really going off of your intuition. So I loved that I could hold it in my hands. I could learn what the cards meant. It helped me trust my intuition, right? And so that was immediately the very first thing that I started to learn. And when I found out that there were mediumship classes, I figured there had to be tarot classes, right, around me. And then even then, I was like nervous that I couldn't do it, because I had talked to somebody that was like, oh, you can't just buy your own deck of cards. You're supposed to be gifted one to be able to learn. And I was like, wait, what? So I even like got on Google, can I learn tarot if I was not gifted? You know?
Good old Google, huh?
I know. And then like I came across this forum where people were like, well, what if like you weren't passed one down? That's not fair that it's only meant for like this group of people, you know? So, but that's also one of those things that like I had to learn, like stepping into my spirituality, you know, is like basically who gives a shit? Like just can do what you want, you know? Like if you feel called to do it, then do it, you know? And so like I truly believe like even though I was being called really to like step into my mediumship, I also feel like, you know, my spirit guides put this tool in front of me to help me like build myself up into, you know, the next phase, the next step. And still to this day, I thought by that being my first stepping stone that I was immediately like gonna get rid of that and then move on to mediumship. And like, no, it's just become a part of the entire package, you know? So yeah, so but it's amazing. Like I started off with like just doing like friends and family, and like just doing like simple like little 1-3 card pulls, and then like it's grown now until like I can do like readings for like the whole year now. And you know, so it's amazing how much like it's grown, and then it's like just helped me trust my intuition, you know? Yeah.
That's wonderful. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like talking about what you're saying, like that people were saying that you have to be given a deck.
Yeah.
I had heard that too, like before, but I never agreed with it. I thought it was dumb, not dumb, you know, but I just thought it didn't align with my beliefs, because if I believe we're all one, like there's no like gatekeeping, you know what I mean? Like we're all sharing everything. We're all the same human race here, you know?
And you know what?
And these tools are given to us, you know, by a source. They're here for us all to use. And if you feel called to use them, um, then you probably already used them in a past life, you know, like there's a reason you're being called to it. There's like a remembering inside of your soul, you know, because not everybody is called to use the cards, you know what I mean?
But it's
Like
also like one of those things, like how I mentioned earlier with like your ancestry, right? Like I feel like, because now I've been buying decks and I'll pass it down. About one for my daughter, I'll give one to my nieces, you know. And so like I also feel like that, like I feel like us, like as a collective, have over like so many generations have gotten so lost. Like how do I not know this was one of the tools that was forgotten over the generations in my ancestry, right? And like I truly feel called, you know, like I mentioned earlier, like where this is like something like I want to now teach, like, you know, generations to come, because this is something that you can use for yourself too, you know. uh,
yeah,
and it's just you know, like I said, like it's just one of those things, like you said too, like how do you not know? Like us as a collective, like this should be ours. And just because somebody didn't pass it down to me, how do I not know they were just busy doing other stuff? They had a different lesson in their life. They weren't worried about tarot. And then same with the generation before them, right? Why does that cut me out from learning tarot? You know? So yeah, so I feel like if you're called to use it, then why not? You can always learn.
yeah, yeah, definitely. It's definitely something that you have to experience for yourself. You know, and it's you working with your own intuition. It definitely sharpens your intuition a lot. Like I do a reading for myself every day. And because I'm nosy as fuck, you know. But you know, as
Yeah.
Scorpios, I want to know everything. I'm like, oh, what's happening? When's my money coming? When's
I
he
know
coming?
my
When's
biggest
he?
problem.
Yeah, when's my next?
My
When's
biggest
my
problem
boyfriend?
is I'll pull.
Where's my man's? My future man's coming. Always, but
I know.
it's a wonderful tool. It's really helped me heal, you know, and it's really helped me in my spiritual journey. Like there's been times where there's a lot of times where that's why I love tarot so much, because there's experiences that you have while you're reading the tarot, like this realization, like in your head, you're like, oh my god, this is why I learned this lesson. Like you see everything just played out and laid out, you know, when these cycles come back around and the cards are able to tell you that, especially when you know your intuition is not as strong and you want to build that connection, then you see the card and you're like, well, that's what I was thinking, that's what my intuition was telling me, you know. You're like, oh, you
Yeah.
can dots, and the next time that your intuition speaks up, you're like, oh, that's my intuition. Because you
Yep.
recognize voice now, you know. So yeah, so it's an amazing tool, because it's like a guide, you know. You are your own guide. You don't need the cards, you know, but you give the cards their power, basically.
You know what it is I think just, you know, we're human, right? And like we need something physical. We need to see it with our own eyes to believe it. And we need to really hear it. And like, you know, like it's hard when you're just relying on what you're thinking in your head and to trust that. I mean, you know, like I said, we're human. It's natural for us to think that way. And the tarot just gives us that image to look at, right? To that we can trust, because it's something that it it it's right in front of us, right? So
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, and then knowing also, you know, that it's not set in stone. Like we have free will. If anything,
yeah,
it's only reading your present timeline, you know, based off of your current energy, because that's where you are in the present, you know. And unless you're doing like a past life reading or something like that, but then again, your past life is happening in this
that's
present moment.
true.
You know what I mean? Like
Oh my gosh, talk about past lives. So I used to before all of this, like I said, you know, I was very Christian and I didn't believe in past lives. And I believed that you're here and then you die and you go to heaven. Right. And then I like got into all this stuff and I learned about like past lives. And then it was because I'm a very technical person, like I said, I have to have the proof in front of me, right? Like I wasn't too into like I wouldn't in my head, like I'm like, okay, if somebody pulls cards for past lives, how would I know this is real or not? And then I found out about like hypnotherapy. And I went and did a past life regression. And that was wild in itself because you're telling them your past life. You know, you're being hypnotized and you're telling them. And I had a very simple past life come out, but oh my God, like
What
maybe
was it?
1 or 2 months or later, like, so it was very simple. I was, I was a white girl.
Ah!
um, living, I was like, oh, I was raised in the country and I had, horses and that kind of thing, right? Very, very simple. I went off to college and I met my husband, who is my husband today. And, you know, and it was a very, very simple life. And then maybe like 2 months later, 3 months, I don't know, I had the weirdest experience at home. It was like it felt so real. Like thinking about it to this day is just like the wildest thing. Like I know it wasn't like a spirit coming to give me a message. It was a past life. And so in this past life now, it happened in my dream and I woke up embodying that person. And I knew it was me still, but I had the fears of this other person. And it was basically, it was my husband and I again, and we were living during, see, I couldn't even tell you like all the details. All I knew was like the fear that I had. We were basically living in racism times. And we were both Black. And we were just very like, my husband was being accused of something and they had put him in jail and he was going to be put to death. And so I remember waking up and embodying that feeling. And I remember having the conversation with my husband in the past life. And he was telling me, it's okay. This has to happen. Basically, like for generations to come, they're going to learn from this experience. Right. And like I'm getting like goosebumps saying this, like, you know, and I remember waking up and um I we had kids in the past life and my husband was like, what's wrong? Like he could tell that I was like anxious. And I just kept telling him, just check on the kids, just check on the kids, right? And at the time, like I didn't realize what was happening. I was like, is this spirit contacting me? Or is this like just a dream that I had or something? But for weeks, it was bothering me. I had to sleep all day that day just for the feeling to go away. Like I was like praying, I was like asking my spirit guides, like, please, like, okay, I don't think I'm ready for this past life. Like I need it to go. And it wasn't until maybe like another month later that I was finally able to talk to my hypnotherapist and put two and two together, that I kind of opened up the door when I had the first hypnotherapy session, that it kind of just opened up the door to another past life, you know. And it was like it just really gave me chills. And it was wild because you know, I keep thinking like you know, my rational brain is trying to say like, how can all these lives happen like during the times, because they're not too far apart. I mean, I was born in 1990, you know, like
Mhm.
the, you know, racism was not that long ago. And I'm like, how can all these lives, and then the other life that I had, the country girl that went off to college, that wasn't long ago that women can go to college, you know what I mean? So I'm like,
Yeah.
all of these lives like are happening so close together, and what if they're even like meshing together? And if you think about it, there is no time, right? We've heard this so many times, there's no time on the other side, and that can happen, right? So yeah, it's just, it's wild.
Yeah, that's so what now that is wild because it's like a a past life, but it's not like in the past. It's just like another life, like another timeline, like another
Exactly.
dimension,
Yeah,
another life.
yeah.
That, oh my god, you just fucking blew my damn mind.
Well,
I'm
I'm
gonna fucking be thinking about this. I have chills. I'm gonna be thinking about this all damn night now.
a girl. I'm telling you, like coming from like someone who was so religious and just thought like you died and went to heaven, and now like learning that we continue to have past lives until we learn like all of our lessons, and we
Yeah.
have so many lessons, like our souls grow in different ways. And to me, like now, like I feel like that's why like in this life, like I am learning so much about spirituality, because like we're all tied together, right? There's so many lessons and everything. And yeah, it's just I know it's mind blowing.
A lot. It's a lot. It's mind blowing. We can go all day on this. I mean, I've also seen a past life of mine, and once you see a past life of yours, like there's no doubt in your mind that there's more to life, like that, and there's like that you barely even know anything really,
Exactly. And you
and
feel
your mind is totally changed for life. Like you can never go back to your old way of thinking after that.
And that's so true, because I had to, honestly, when I saw the hypnotherapist, and I had to call her after that, I had that episode at home, because I told her, I was like, I think like I'm not ready for this. Like I had to stop everything. I had to stop the mediumship, the tarot. I didn't want to touch any my cards for like 2 months. Like I just wanted to like go back to be everything being so simple, and
Yeah.
it took me a bit to like finally like grow into it. And then when I finally had called my hypnotherapist and told her I felt that way, she was like, why didn't you call me sooner? She goes, this happens to a lot of people, because the door gets opened and who they thought they were is now kind of like, wait, like there's this other person, right? And it takes a bit. Like now I remembered who I was in this life. Like it took me a bit, but I was like felt so lost, because you're right. Like there are this is not, Luna is not just Luna, Shaina is not just Shaina. Like you have this story behind you that is growing your soul, right? And so it's amazing, but also scary at the same time, because like it's like our brains can't really comprehend it, right? Until you just learn to just accept that it is what it is, So yeah, it's wild.
That you surrender to, basically. That's
Yeah.
freaking crazy. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing sharing with us your story.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean tarot, and so tarot is just a tool, to, and so you can use tarot to connect with like with past relatives as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Like
Definitely.
that's why it's very important that you set the boundaries, and that you know who you're speaking to, and that you know what your intention is and who you want to speak to, and then you're asking the right questions and all that. Like that's super important. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, tarot, you still have to know your boundaries, because you're right. Like your intuition, your chakras are opening, and you want to make sure that you have those boundaries up, because
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And then like, but I'm thinking like, so everybody, because I'm like, everybody is you, everybody's a reflection, you know what I mean? So even these other beings are still part of our universe, you know what I mean? And we are all one. So maybe some of them don't want to be harmful, like in every different I believe that every different type of human, there's some good people and some bad people, quote unquote good and bad, whatever you want to call it, um, or dark and light, positive and negative, and I think that that also exists within the other side, the non-physical that we can't see. It's just that we just can't see and we're not used to it, so we get scared, like it's unknown. So
Yeah. I think that's the biggest thing is, we're all raised to believe, we're all raised to be like very I feel like one-sided or tunnel visioned, right? We don't see like this bigger picture. And I think because of that, like, we get very scared when something that seems, out of the ordinary, instead of really just accepting it, then,
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm making sense.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, and accepting it,
Mhm.
Um, how did you break the religious trauma or whatever you want to call it?
You know what?
Programming.
I don't know. I guess because I still believe in God. I still believe in Jesus. But my mind has just opened to believe other things too. I just feel like um, when you only believe in one thing, you're very one-sided. And when you're open to multiple things, you just, like I said earlier, you become a more compassionate person. You learn to put yourself in other people's shoes, and you learn to accept what other people believe. And you're no longer going to argue with what, if people are one-sided, because you know that a part of what they believe is true. And I don't know, I just feel like breaking that, I don't know if it's so much breaking it, more so just like expanding it, you know? Like it's still there. What I used to believe is still there. It's just bigger now. And now I believe in more, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah. You just get more comfortable and more comfortable, and then once you're comfortable, like super comfortable, then you start getting muscle. Then it starts getting stronger and stronger. Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
yeah. That's super cool. Then oh yeah, then you'll start traveling to the dimensions. Man, this is cool. This is such a great conversation. I've had such a great night with you.
A little bit of everything.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you want to touch base on that you want to talk about?
Um, no, not too much. I guess if it's kind of bouncing back and forth, but going back to ibble, I am also going to be doing other events. It's going to be every Wednesday. Um, there's one I'm going to be talking about crystals, and then another one I'm going to give like a little mini tarot lesson. So that's going to be cool. Yeah, and so I Ibble is such a good platform. Like there's so much events that and even like just for you, like if you don't want to do events, there's so much you can learn, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's so great. Like, so just it's a great place to interact with people that you love, that people that get it, that get you, that really value your opinion and are listening,
Yeah.
and a great place to learn too through the events. Learn through
Oh,
the
and I
events.
am gonna be doing a mediumship event too. Like I don't know how it's gonna work, okay? Because the mediumship readings I've done it's like live, right? Like me and you talking. So I'm gonna try it out though. I think I can try and make it work. So I'll
Yeah.
be trying to do like mediumship readings. I'm gonna like intertwine it with like oracle readings. I think that will help me out with the mediumship side of it. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
that
that's
would be
like,
awesome.
yeah,
Yeah. Stay tuned. Keep me updated. I wanna join that
yeah,
one.
I'll let
I
you
wanna
know.
join all your events, okay?
Yeah.
Since we're talking about events, I'm every Sunday at I'm changing it to 6 p.m. PST. It used to be 7. Now I'm changing it to 6. Just because it's working better with my schedule now. Now that I'm getting up earlier and doing things. But my next one is this Sunday at 6 p.m. PST, and it's on candle magic. So if you want to set intention candles, you've been interested, don't know what it's about, how to start, or anything, or you have questions, maybe you already work with candles. I love to work with candles. It's setting intention, is working with something physical. It's a tool just like tarot. So I'm super excited about this. And that I do intuitively for the most part. So
Okay.
So I'm really excited to see how it's gonna go down. So if you want to join,
Yep.
yeah. I do want to ask one more thing before one more question, and then we'll get your social media handles and we'll be done with the show. But I did want to ask back on what you were talking about your family, like with tarot. Your mom, she's still Christian, you said, but she is more open and understanding. How did you get her to be like more open and understanding about tarot? Because I know in the Bible they say like, oh, well, most Christians say no, right? Not to do tarot
I
or
don't
no.
know. You know what? I think just from growing up, I know we started out as Catholic, and then converted to Christian because Christians are a little bit less strict than being Catholic. I remember um, or like I even know people that are Catholic and like they really have to stick to like a strict schedule or do certain things. And so I think my mom was already pretty open because we had kind of converted to Christian. Um, but my mom in general, my mom versus my dad was always more religious than my mom. So my mom does like go to church every Sunday and that kind of thing. Um, but she's always been like super supportive anyways. So I don't know, she's just always been kind of open. And I also think like it was my mom's mom, so my grandmother, used to be able to read tarot cards with just a regular deck of cards, playing deck. And so I think and we're Filipino, and so in the Philippines, like they've got all kinds of like half horse, half man, and all these different kinds of things. So this wasn't too like woo woo for her, like she knew it was kind of there. And I don't think my mom ever believed that I was like into anything dark, anyways. So she was just always very open to it. My sisters, like I said, they're also very open, they're super supportive. My brothers, it's not exactly that they weren't supportive. They're just a little bit more quiet. They're like, you're gonna do your own thing, whatever. Whatever. Do what you want.
Mind your own business.
They're like, I don't care.
That's cool. That's good. I'm glad
I,
your mom is open minded. That she's been like that. So she's been like that her whole life, huh, with you.
I mean, I guess I'm very lucky, like my inner circle, there's a lot of people I know that do this. And their inner circle gives them, a hard time, and they sometimes lose relationships over it, So I've been very lucky that I have had a supportive, family the whole time.
That's cool. That's amazing. That's awesome. I love hearing about your family, about other people's families and how they interact and everything. Like it's dynamics, family dynamics are very interesting. Just relationship dynamics in general, because I love talking to people. And then sometimes I don't want to talk to anybody. They know, like, typical Scorpio. Like I want to be like sometimes alone, sometimes I want to be out. But yeah, but talking to people, you see how you have like how your words affect other people and how your energy affects other people and how theirs affects yours, and just how you mingle and all that. It's just so interesting to me. So family is really cool. um so I think we are done for the night. That was my last question for you. Thank you so much for being on. Honestly, it means a lot. It means a lot. I'm super excited for this to air. Um, can you let the people know your social media handles where they can find you?
Yeah. So I recently changed. I used to go under my name, Shaina Marie. I recently changed. So my Instagram is sage and lotus underscore. And yeah, I'm gonna be like working under that sage and lotus handles now, just because I feel like it embodies me a lot more. Sage, I named my daughter Sage. And Sage, is all about wisdom and healing. We use sage to expel negative energy, right? And lotus, for those that don't know, it's this beautiful flower that grows in the dirtiest waters. And it just, it's a sign of like rebirth. And I feel like that, this is kind of like a new life for me, right? Like this is not something that I've done my whole life. This is still brand new. And so, with, all of that wisdom, the healing, the rebirth, it's just something that I want to help other people through their, spiritual journeys too. And so, yeah, so Instagram is sage and lotus underscore. Facebook is sage and lotus. And then right now, my ibble, I haven't changed it yet. It's just under Shaina Marie. I might just leave it as Shaina Marie just because it is more of a personal platform. I want people to know my name and see me for who I am. But yeah, all the other platforms will be sage and lotus.
Yeah, yeah, awesome. Yeah, ibble can be like the new like where you get like more personal, like the new like well before it was Snapchat where you would see like people's like private life, right? And now you're like getting into people's brains in ibble. Oh my God. Well, thank you so much. I love your new name, Sage and Lotus, and thank you for telling us what it means because those are beautiful. That was a beautiful explanation. I love both of those. Lotuses are lotus. The lotus flowers
Yeah.
just beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And Sage, that's super. That's a beautiful name. I freaking love that name.
Yeah, I do.
Oh my God. How old is Sage?
Oh my gosh, she's one. And you know what's funny is
Oh,
we named her Sage Maya, right? Maya like singer MYA.
I
And
love Maya. I
I
used to be
love
obsessed
her.
with Maya.
And so, what's funny is we didn't realize I knew Sage, I got pregnant with her during my spiritual awakening. And so I knew Sage meant wisdom. We didn't know until after she was born that Maya meant great one. So her name means wise, great
Oh
one.
my
And she's like, is like
God.
such an old soul. I swear, I already know it. She's only one, but she's teaching me a lot.
She's your teacher for
Yep,
sure.
for sure.
That's awesome. All right, you guys. It's been an amazing conversation. Thank you all, whoever joined in the past, present, and future. I love you all. Until next time. Bye. Mucho love.
Thank you.